Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, I'm happy to see y'all. Hey, you know, it's the last day. It's the last workshop. I hope you learned something this year. You know, we really worked pretty hard to put these things together. I just want to thank all of the youth coordinators, our senior coordinator, Ms. Connie Jackson, Ms. D. Clay, Ms. Kieta McCray, and Ms. Chantel Jones. We've all worked real hard to put these things together. And I'd like to thank you for being a part of this and for, diligently coming out and attempting to learn something. Hopefully, you have been able to glean something from all of the speakers that we've had in the workshops. Right now, we want to pause for a moment of prayer and begin this thing, so if we could just bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all of your goodness, your grace and mercy. Thank you for the favor that you've given us. Lord, I just ask you to bring peace in this place, in unity. I bind every hindering spirit of rebellion, of dishonor, of apathy, sleep and slumber. Just bind those things. I lose a spirit of unity and love, and also of excellence into this place, and wisdom. Lord, pour out wisdom upon these young people and upon the speakers, and just work mighty works in their life. I ask that prosperity be upon them and upon this summer youth program for many years to come. In Jesus' name we pray, amen. Amen. Our first speaker that I have the distinct pleasure of introducing, it's really kind of funny because I never thought that this type of thing would happen. And the reason I'm saying this is because this woman to my right, Dr. Catherine Glover Collins, we were 1 year apart. This is my oldest sister, but she's my little sister. And, we grew up playing together. She always wanted to be a doctor. She set her mind to something and she did it. And it's some personal things I can say that I know that she probably don't want me to say. I'm not going to embarrass her right now, but she never made a B in her life, okay, until like the second semester of her high school year. That's like ever. So she put her mind to say, I'm going to be excellent, I'm going to be the best, I'm going to make A's. I'm talking about from nursery school with the star papers all the way up until she made an 89%, the second semester of her high school career, because she had a goal, she stuck to it, she had a plan. She went to school at Pineville High School. We got any zebras in there? All right. She's salutatorian of her class. She went to Xavier University in New Orleans, Louisiana from 1997 to 2001. She received a Bachelor of Science. She was magna cum laude. Okay? From 2003 to 2008, she went to the Harry Medical School of Graduate Studies in the Department of Cancer Biology. She received a Doctor of Philosophy, which is a PhD. From 2001 to 2009 at Harry Medical College, she's an MD, a Doctor of Medicine. So she's a double doctor. She's a PhD doctor in research and a medical doctor in medicine. From 2009 to present, she's at UAM, which is the University of Arkansas for Medical Services, UAMS, where she practices, she's a general surgery resident. And so basically what that means is, all she does is cut. She cuts people, and that's everything. Gunshot wounds, she's probably going to tell you more about that, but burn victims, everything that has to do with surgery, that's what she's doing right now. And I can tell you firsthand that she's a serious woman, but she's one of the most laid back people that you'll ever come in contact with. You know, people wouldn't think that, you know, she graduated the top of her class in medical school. You know, she received numerous awards throughout her schooling, including the UNCF Merck Scholarship. That's a very prestigious scholarship. You have to be high on your game to be able to receive something like that. The NIH Apprenticeship Scholarship as well. She volunteered within her community through her sorority and through college activities. She was very active in the community. Remember, Pastor Johnson told you, in serving others, you serve yourself. This is something that she has done through her life. She published, she wrote several abstracts and papers, and she has a patent. She has her own patent for which she receives royalties for even today. She gets checks continually off of her patent that she created. Her outside interests include spending time with her family, cooking, and traveling. She has my little nephew, he's 4 years old, but she's also, she's close to giving me another nephew right now, so very happy to introduce to you my sister, Dr. Catherine Glover Collins is here.
It's true that I am his little big sister, but we're also very proud of Mr. Glover, Sam Glover. He has done quite a bit in his short period of time. I'd like to also thank him for such a great introduction. Didn't think he would tell everything that he told, but it's all true. So, Mr. Glover has told me a little bit about this audience, but I want to hear from you guys. So, what grades do we have represented here? Got any juniors in high school? Seniors? Any sophomores? We have any college people? Okay. Let's see. I heard we have some high level Z's here. We have any Dalloway? Don't be ashamed. Stand up for your school. That's right. Chapman? Okay. All right. And the colleges that are represented here? Okay. Whitehall? In Whitehall? Okay. And of the colleges, is it UAPB? Any other colleges? Henderson? Jackson State in Mississippi? Okay. Where else? Fayetteville. All right. Tuskegee. Very good. Very good. Where are you in Tuskegee? How do you classify? Okay. Very good. So we have a very diverse group, and I have a handout that we'll hand out at the end of my presentation, and I hope that there's something on it for everyone. You can choose to do with it what you will, but I hope that you will take and read it and store it away and refer back to it periodically. It has information about how to become a doctor, but some of the points on there are key to becoming successful in whatever you choose to do in life. So I just want you to keep that in mind. When I was preparing for this talk, I had several people look over what I was going to give to you. And one of my colleagues said that one of the things I need to do is give you a take-home message. So the repeating theme of this talk is going to be, remember, not all doctors are brainiacs, because I do know some that are not. But we all got to where we are by hard work and time management. And you can do the same. Okay? So, anybody here think they know what they want to do with their life? I'm going to pick on my brother-in-law, Bert.
I want to be an aviation engineer.
Okay? All right. Somebody else raised their hand. Veterinarian, that's a good field. Anybody else? Okay. Homicide detective. Anybody want to go in sports? Registered nurse, okay. No sports fans? Nobody want to do criminal justice, law? Everybody else is kind of deciding. Forensic psychology, it's a good field. Okay, yes. Graphic design, that's a good field too. Anybody think that becoming a doctor takes a long time? All right, let's get some estimates. Just throw out some numbers at me. So how many people think that, 4 years is a long time to become a professional? Mm-hmm. How many people think that 8 years is a long time? How many people think that 40 years is a long time to do something? 40. If you graduate from high school and go straight into your job, that's 18, you're 18, 17, 18, right? Who knows what the age of retirement is? 65, so that's what, almost 50 years to work, right? If you go to college, that's another 4 to 5 years, so you'll be around 21, 22. That's 40 years to work, right? If you go to medical school, that's another 4 to 5 years. So you're about 20, we were at 25, 26, maybe 27. That's still 30 plus years to work. Anybody ever thought about that? So really, to go from high school to getting your medical doctorate degree is an 8-year process, right? So you still have 30 years to work. So really 8 years is not a long time. And that's the one thing that I need to impress upon you is that if you get caught up in 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, and the amount of time that it takes you to get somewhere, you're never going to make what you're trying to do. Don't let time, a couple of years, anything less than 10 years, in my opinion, is an appropriate amount of time to get you where you need to go so that you're not stuck in a job where you may have to depend on your hours to make your money as opposed to being on a salary position. And I want to tell you, salary position is where you want to be. All right? So, let's see. Anybody think that there's only one way to become a doctor? It's okay if you think there's only one way. I will say that the majority of people that go through medical school now go straight through. They go from high school to college, they major in the science, then they go to medical school, and then there's this little thing that nobody ever talks about until you get into medical school, and that's called residency, which is where I am currently in. So that process to become a practicing physician on your own, where you're making the big bucks, so to speak, can take about 11 years after high school, which is still 30 plus years to work. And if you're doing something that you enjoy doing, then that's the most important part. Because then, I've heard a lot of people say, if you do what you enjoy doing, you'll never work a day in your life. Because it's what you enjoy doing. Keep that in mind. All right, so In high school, how many people think that taking science courses is important to becoming a doctor? They are. You're very correct. And on this, I have that biology, chemistry, physics, and elective classes such as anatomy, physiology, microbiology. Those are all important things to take. Anybody realize why it's important to take those classes?
Honestly, you know what the skeleton is, muscle tissue, and nervous system.
Everything you take in school is about exposure, and Mr. Bird is correct. If you're exposed to it one time, you may forget it. You're exposed to it 2 or 3 times, you may remember. But if you continue to take these science courses, you'll be reintroduced to the same topics over and over again, and then it becomes second nature. So it's all about building upon what you learn. And you can't just study for the test and forget it all and be mad because at the end of the year, your teacher's giving you a cumulative exam and you're like, man, we learned it at the beginning of the year. Imagine that. You have to remember something that you might use for the rest of your life. It's kind of strange. But that's what education is about. And if you begin to think of education like that, I think that you'll go very far in whatever it is you want to do. Okay? So just keep that in mind. Anybody think you have to make straight A's in order to go to medical school? I know I did, but I'm not the usual person. How many people think you can make straight B's and go to medical school? C's? What kind of grades do you think you gotta have? What kind of GPA you think you gotta have? Some of my college people. 3.5, 3.0. Okay. Okay. All right. I will tell you, the higher your GPA, the easier it is for whatever you want to do, because those are the people that get the scholarships first. And we all are concerned with finances and how we're going to make it to wherever we're going. All right? Anybody want to go and pay for their whole education? The average medical school education is $250,000. That's how much you borrow. I didn't pay that because I went on scholarship. And that was one of the things that my brother is trying to impress upon me, is that as long as you make your mind to do something, you can get there. And sometimes people will see what you're doing, the hard work that you're doing, and reward you along the way and make your path easier. So as a matter of fact, when you make the higher GPAs, the 3.8s, the 4s, those are the people that get handed money. The people that make 3.5s, they get handed a little less. The people that make 3.0s have to work a little bit harder. And there are some scholarships out there. And that's what you need to strive for. So that way, when you make the scholarships money, you're not working, trying to balance work and life and school, and doing poorly in school because you have to make money to pay your bills to live. Okay? So, real quickly, in high school, you should take basic science courses and remember what you take. Strive to get as high as grades as possible. I looked online and I saw that to get a scholarship to go to college here in Arkansas, all you need is a 2.5 and a 19 on your ACT in order to qualify for the Arkansas Library Scholarship. And that's fine if that's all you're striving for, but you should want to do higher. So that in addition to the Arkansas Library Scholarship, you can get the Merck scholarships, the UNCF scholarships, the Trinity scholarships. I went to school on nothing but scholarships and I had no educational debt. And that's saying a lot. All right? In college, when you're considering your colleges, you should look at the programs, look them up on the internet. Everybody can get on Facebook so we can all get on the internet and look up our colleges to figure out what they do best. Okay? If you're trying to go to medical school, you need to look at programs, colleges that have a pre-med office or pre-med program. Because there are some things that only that office can tell you and to help you get into medical school. I see a lot of people that want to become doctors, that want to go to medical school, and have graduated from college. They're seniors in college, and they haven't even applied to medical school. And a pre-med office can lead you down the path such that when you graduate from college, you know that you're going to med school. Okay? So another thing that is very important in college and even in high school is to do mentoring programs where you go and shadow physicians, where you go and learn that maybe medicine is exactly what you want to do. And some people find out that medicine isn't at all what they want to do. But I just say that you should keep your mind open and do those types of programs. Seek out summer programs such as this one, where you've been provided a job and you've given access to the professional world. Take advantage of these relationships that you have an opportunity to make, because you never know the people that have employed you this summer may think about you next summer or years down the road for positions, or they think about something that they see that you might be able to do and they might recommend you for it. Okay? Also in college, you need to be sure to make relationships with your professors. Take advantage of their office hours. If they don't know who you are, you're just a face sitting out in the... my time is up. I haven't even been done. If you're just a face out in the audience, they don't know who you are, how can they write recommendation letters for you? You can't do anything in this world without a recommendation letter. And so they need to know who you are and become visible. And when given the opportunity to speak, you should speak and don't shy away from those opportunities. Because in the future, like I said, they might think of you and say, hey, that young person decided that they wanted to ask a question. They have potential to lead. So let me offer them this job. And I have been offered jobs like that, just based off of my participation in programs. Finally, there is a test to get into every professional college or degree you want to do. You know, to go to college, you have to do the SAT or the SAT. To go to medical school, there's a test called the MCAT, which is the Medical College Admissions Test. And then you take that in your junior year. You apply during your senior year for medical school. That's the best way so that you can, yes, go and hand those out. That's the best way that you can proceed right through without breaks. Because once you take a break from college, it's just hard to come back. And medical school is a 4 to 5 year process. You should consider combined degree programs. The reason why it took me so long to get out of medical school, if you've been paying attention, that was 2001 to 2009. I did a combined degree program, which allowed me to get my medical degree and my doctorate of philosophy. And a lot of people downplay doctorates of philosophy to PhDs, but that's the highest degree you can ever get in education. It outranks the medical degree. But it also allowed me to write my ticket so that when I graduated from medical school, I got to decide where I wanted to go. And not everybody gets to do that. Okay? So consider your combined degrees. You can get MD and PhD degrees, Masters of Public Health. You can get MD-JDs. There are people that get paid $800 an hour just to go sit in court and say, yes, forensically, this is what could have happened to this person. And in my opinion, that is what happened. And they get $800 an hour for that. Those are people with MD-JD degrees. All right, so consider those combined degree programs. You will take more tests in medical school. You continue to take tests after medical school. And even when you become a professional doctor, because you have to come and do recertification. After medical school, you go into residency programs. That is the first time that you can address yourself as doctor, whoever. And you get paid, but you're still getting a little bit of training. And as my brother said, I'm in the general surgery residency, and I do a lot of cutting, as he said. I cut on a lot of places of the body. I don't do neurosurgery, though that's another 7-year program. My program is 5 years. If you want to do something like family practice or internal medicine, that's a 3-year program. And then even after that, there's even more training in fellowships. That's if you want to become something like a cardiothoracic surgeon, or if you want to become a cardiologist or a neurologist. There are special programs 1 or 2 years after you graduate out of your residency that you have to do. Okay? And then after residency, for the fellowships, you finally can say that you're a doctor and then you start making the money. Salaries for primary care generally start around $90,000 a year. For surgeons who have specialized, like the cardiothoracic surgeons, you can make $500,000 a year, and it just depends on where you go. And I do want to go over a couple of my final points, which is on the second page, and then I will have my seat. And remember, my take-home message is, we're not all brainiacs, but with hard work and time management, you can succeed in whatever you do. So on the first final point, we show us that education is a building block. Everything that you're learning now should build on itself so that the next step is easier. How many people think that if you're supposed to be learning how to cook, that every time you go into the kitchen, everything should be brand new? Meaning, if I showed you how to cook an egg, you should know how to cook an egg tomorrow, right? So that when I'm going to show you how to do a cake, it's that much easier. That's what education should be like. What I teach you about the cell in biology builds on what I'm going to teach you about in biochemistry, which builds on what I'm going to teach you about in physiology, which builds on what I'm going to teach you about in surgery and the care of a patient. It's all building blocks. Learn as much as you can so that you don't forget. Grades are important and can follow you forever. My mom was telling me that she had a student that, my mom is a high school teacher, and the FBI was considering this person for a job. And they went all the way back to their high school in order to find out about this person. So what you do in high school will follow you. It doesn't mean that you can't overcome if you've made mistakes, but just be mindful that everything you do will follow you. Okay? And the thing that you want to make is a good impression wherever you go. Everybody doesn't make it the first time around, and every doctor's not a brainiac, but we are all hard workers. I have some people in my medical school that they went on to teach, they went on to pursue other careers, and then they came back to medical school when they were 30, 40 years old. And so there are different paths that people take in order to get to being a doctor. You just have to decide what you want to do and the path that you want to take and what's important in your life at that time. Number 4, do not let the prospect of time or hard work deter you from attempting to become a physician. Anything, and I do mean anything, that you want to do in life involves hard work. The question is, do you want to pay it up front with 40 years, 8 years of education and a little bit of hard work so that you can make upwards of $100,000 a year? Or do you want to pay it on the back end with going directly into the job field where you're making less than $100,000 a year? And you might be doing something that you don't want to do for the rest of your life, for those 30 years, as opposed to the 8 that you paid up front. Every path that you choose is going to cost. I didn't get into it, but all those exams that I have listed on the other page, they cost money. The programs cost money. The applications cost money. That's just the fact of life. But when you do what you're supposed to do and get the high GPAs, the good grades, people seem to let those costs kind of float into the background, and they give you money to cover those things. So it's all about impression and doing the hard work, putting it up front. And that's about it. So what's my take-home message? I heard something. We're not all brainiacs, but with hard work and time management, you can accomplish anything. Thank you for your attention.
Who's got the first question? Come on.
What was your motivation to be? What was your motivation to be the best at what you do during school?
My earliest motivation actually came from my siblings. I have 3 brothers and 2 sisters, and we all competed in everything. So it was always, I got the best this, I did this. And my parents actually kind of fostered that, what I call sibling rivalry, because they used to pay us for our grades. And I realized early on that when I brought home all the eggs, I came home with all the money. And then my siblings were borrowing from me. So I learned early on that good grades actually was where the big money was. And so that was the major part of my motivation to do well. And then as I continued throughout school, it was knowing that once I finished with school, I will be in a job that wherever I go in the world, I can have security, job security, because people are going to get hurt, people are going to need surgery. I will always have job security.
Hi, Dr. Kathy. How did you figure out whatever you did, what you do?
I'm a general surgery resident. Once I finish my residency, I will become a breast oncology.
Okay, so how did you figure out that general surgery is what you actually wanted to do? And did you have any second thoughts about general surgery as you're going through your process?
I'll tell you, I always wanted to become a doctor. When I was in grade school, I wanted to be an OBGYN. By the time I got to high school and I did the MASH program, which is the Medical Application of Science for Health, I thought I wanted to become a family practitioner. I said that throughout college and even my first year of medical school. And then I decided that maybe I need to take a step back and figure out what I really want to do in life. Because there are a lot of fields in medicine that I had not even been exposed to. So in my 3rd year of medical school, you go through all the different fields of medicine, and they give you a chance. You spend about 2 months in each field to get a taste of what each field is like. And after my 3rd year, after my rotation in surgery, it's like, I don't want to do that. They spend a lot of time in the hospital. They get called out of their beds at all times of night. They have to do a lot of things. And so actually I was running from surgery going into my 4th year of medical school. But then I talked to one of my psychiatry teachers, and they told me not to be afraid because it might take a little time. It might be a little hard. And I realized that there was a field of surgery, the breast surgery oncology, that would allow me to have a normal life, office hours from 9 to 5, and still allow me to do the one thing that I love to do, which is actual surgery. And so I had to make the decision that I could spend 5 years becoming a general surgeon so that in the end I could do what I want to do, or I could go into a field of medicine that I really didn't want to do, such as family practice, where I wouldn't have empathy for my patients, or I didn't want to see them on a daily basis because that was something that I didn't want to do. So.
Okay. Let's got that next question.
With the type of work schedule a general surgeon has, how do you balance family life and work?
It's pretty hard. I'll tell you that in a general surgery residency works from about 14 hours a day. We're not allowed to work more than 80 hours a week, and that's averaged over 4 weeks. So sometimes I do work 120 hours a week. Sometimes I only work 60 hours a week. Yeah, it didn't seem like that's possible, does it? And you complain about a 40-hour work week, right? Yeah. And so the hardest part is being able to tear myself away from my 4-year-old son and my husband. And the biggest thing that you have to do is time management. You have to decide, okay, I know that from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., I'm going to be at the hospital. When I get home, what am I going to do with my time? I know I have to study for my oral exams that are coming up. I know I have to prepare for my surgeries that I have to do the next day. But in the midst of all this, I have to spend some time with my son. And I make time, I allot time every day for my son and my family. It might not be the 14 hours that I worked the previous day, but it's time, and that's what's important. So you have to schedule your time, allot time, if it's an hour, if it's 15 minutes, to say that this is what I'm going to do at this time, and this is what I'm going to do at this time. But time management is key.
How difficult is it to face a situation that results in death of your patient?
It's very difficult. A lot of people think that if a physician cries that they're weak. I had one of my attendings that told me that if you seclude yourself such that you don't feel anything for anybody, and that you're not really human, and you should not be afraid to show your human side. So I cry with patients' families. I cry with patients because I know that, for instance, I had a patient that came in where a truck fell on their chest. They were, we don't think about some of the things that we do, but, he was an older gentleman, he was working on his car, and he had put his truck up on cinder blocks. The cinder blocks gave way and fell on his chest. Caused a lot of damage to his lungs, and he ended up dying from it. And when he came in, the first thing we were like, he might not make it through the night. He made it through at least a week in intensive care. And his wife, when it was coming down to the last of his time, we were having him on a lot of medications to keep his blood pressure up, to keep his heart going. We had bronchitis to keep his kidneys going. His liver had started to fail, and he actually was in a coma, so he didn't feel any of it. But his family was there, and it was my job to go and tell them, if you have anything that you want to say, you have family that you want to get together, now's the time, because he's not going to make it through to the morning. And so it's a hard thing, but, I cry with that wife and that family because I am human and I do feel. And so I deal with it by being human and acting the way that I would want somebody to act if I was in the same situation.
What's the most interesting thing that you've seen in the job?
The most interesting thing that I've seen in my job, that's hard. The most interesting thing that I've seen had to be when I was on my burn rotation. It's amazing to me how the things that we do and we don't think about it. Anybody here ever burn brush, leaves, or anything in the yard? Anybody ever thrown gasoline on it or used gasoline to start it? I see little kids, old adults, middle-aged people, all burned. And I'm talking really burned from doing that. I never realized exactly how dangerous that was until I did my burn rotation. But we had a patient that came in, actually wasn't doing gasoline by her, but it was a gas explosion in her apartment. She had 80% burn of her body. And about 10 years ago, this person wouldn't have lived. But yesterday, she was making meaningful movements, answering questions to her family. Never went on any kind of life support in the whole time. So for me, to see somebody sustain that much injury and come out with their full mental capacity and alive is the most interesting thing that I've seen.
Thank you. Let's give this Dr. Glover a hand. And I'm just gonna give a quick 20 seconds to, that's why I say I'm very proud. I'm very proud of her. I mean, when she gets to talk about this, I feel like I went to medical school and I did those things because I was right there. We were right there, you know, listening to the OJs on a record player back in the 80s. I'm telling you. This is my best friend right here. I'm telling you. You know? And she's a soldier. Period. I'm telling you. She got all A's. She's excellent in everything she does. She watches people die. Many people can't even, I'm telling you. This is real talk. And then she still has time for her family and to do the things she does what she wants to do. And many of us say, well, I do what I want to do. But you haven't put in what it takes to be able to do what you want to do. And so this is a great example of a person operating in excellence and with a lot of tact and a lot of honor in what she does. And so that's why I'm very proud of her, and I'm very grateful that you have come down and shared with our students.